Well, my name is Katrina Charles. I'm currently the IBDP coordinator at the American School of Doha, which is in Qatar. I've only been here roughly 6 months, so it's my first year at Doha. My leap into leadership, that's a very, very interesting question. I have done a myriad of different positions within leadership. They stem from IBDP coordinator, which I've been doing the longest. I have been director of teaching and learning for 5 years. I have also been assistant or associate principal for 3. I've done a myriad of different roles. I've been a pastoral leader, which is a UK system from which I am based. So to give a bit of a background of myself, I was born in Trinidad and Tobago, and then I moved to the UK. And so ideally, I have a bit of duality within myself. My initial training actually started in Trinidad and Tobago for one initial year, where they do an introductory training for you to teach. So I have a certification for the Caribbean. And then after that, I did my formal training in the UK, following the entire system. From there, ideally, I started off as an economics and business teacher. And the department that I was in was an all-female department of very strong women. I tell you, I mean, to this day, they are still the department that has molded me. I mean, some very strong women. So our head of department, she's British, but of Pakistani background. The deputy is British, but of Irish background. My colleagues, she's a mixture of Italian and Ethiopian, but British background. Myself, and then we had one gentleman in the entire department, poor guy, and he was British, but of Greek background. So the department was a real mix. And one of the things I loved about the department is the ladies, or head of departments, both of the ladies, they started that department. They were the same age. They started the business and economics department and built it up to what it was today. And the department itself was in a school that was about almost 3,000 kids. And so it's large in the UK. And so we had to, really put a lot into it. And one of the things that they instilled in us was always be proud about what you're doing. If you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability. And so I want to think my initial training started with those ladies, because as you may or may not be aware, in leadership, you often find that at that time when I started out, there were few women in those roles. And ideally in the school, it was highly male dominated, not because that was just how it was designed, but just how it appeared. And one of the things that they led me to believe is if you don't have confidence and belief in yourself about what you're doing, then you're not going to really make a mark in anything. And really, if we're supposed to be educators, it doesn't matter whether we're an educator in what we consider to be typical administration, but you're a leader in your classroom. That's where it starts. Then you're a leader among your colleagues. Then you're a leader among other colleagues. And it goes on. But the bottom line is, I digress, is that at the end of the day, they trained me for good positions with respect to the head of department. Unfortunately, became ill and had to have some time off. And so the deputy stepped up, and then I became the deputy interim. But prior to that, I was the pastoral leader. So ideally, you have, I don't know how to break this up in American terms, but we have pastoral leaders, which is basically you have an entire year group that you are in charge of, that you take from what we consider to be year 7 or grade 7 all the way up to grade 13. And I had that group, and the group was about 250 kids, about 30 members of staff. So that was my leadership role, to deal with pastoral issues and also manage academics. And I love that. And to this day, I do. It's all about making those connections. And so that was my bit. But then I ended up also taking on the deputy head as well, which was really quite interesting. So it was duality in the role. And I think those were the basis for me thinking to myself, my gosh, I think I can do this, because I pride myself in being able to make connections with people. And I don't aim to be in leadership. I think it just happens by default. And I know that sounds really odd to say, but you when you make a connection with people and you understand where they're coming from and you're in the trenches with them, but you have a voice to say, you know what, let me put myself forward to represent the underrepresented, for want of a better word. And so that was my first foray into, hey, maybe I have some sort of leadership skill, maybe more in the mid ground, more in the middle management area. Maybe I want to explore that a little bit, if that makes sense. So that was my first foray in the UK. And then from there, when I decided to branch out internationally, there were many other people along the pathway that, provided a lot of support. And then by default, I would end up, I mean, I kid you not, every school I have been at, every year, I have never held the same position. And I have been now, this is what, my fifth school. Every year, I kid you not, Kim, I hold a different position. I don't know what's going to happen here, but it's just the way it rolls. Not because you go out of your way looking for it, but I think opportunities come along and you say, okay, let me see if I can help here. And then there you are. So you have to grab and grasp opportunities when they present themselves to be able to make a change. I think that's what leads me about leadership. It's not about getting into it for the sake of it, but about being able to effect change. That's my rationale for doing it. And if that's not what your rationale is, honestly, I can't understand or even see how you can be true to being the leader you're meant to be. And one philosophy I often have is leaders lead from the back, not the front. And I always do an analogy of a boat. The engine of the boat is at the back, not the front. And so ideally, at the end of the day, it's your job to support everyone else in this team to be the best that they can be, with the driving force being you at the back, propelling others forward. That's just been my own definition. It's been a definition that's been instilled in me from my time with my department back in the day.
I hope you enjoyed this peek into our brand new Women Who Lead program from Eduro Learning. My name is Kim Cafino, and I'm the CEO and co-founder of Eduro Learning, as well as your host through the Women Who Lead program. Today, you heard from just one of our over 70 amazing women who lead. We'll be sharing more individual journey to leadership stories over the next few months. As a coach and a mentor to educators around the world, I've noticed a common theme. There are so many skilled, hardworking women in education who are curious about moving into leadership, but not quite ready to take that leap. A year ago, we started working on a special professional learning pathway to take that reluctance out of the equation. Our Women Who Lead program gives you access to the voices and experience of over 70 successful female leaders around the world. We have interviewed heads of school, curriculum directors, principals, and influential female leaders to provide a window into their personal leadership journeys so you can hear from them exactly what it's like to pursue this path. When have you had the opportunity to learn from over 70 amazing female leaders, including 20 female heads of school in one consolidated learning experience? From one response to another, you'll hear their insight into the unique challenges facing female leaders, their advice on how to be successful in a leadership interview, and their guidance on how to have difficult conversations. Those are just some of the key topics discussed by the amazing female leaders we interviewed. With Women Who Lead, you gain access to curated conversations with inspirational leaders who have shared their experience with you at all levels of leadership within education, including consultancy and entrepreneurship. If you're ready to take the next step on your leadership journey, find out more at edurolearning.com/women.